Ranjit Dharmasiri, gunshot injury to the chest. Surgeon Gamini's phone rang at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd of June 1986. The caller was his house officer. He was rather excited. He informed his boss that a young man with a gunshot injury to his chest had been admitted to the ward. Gamini rushed to the ward. The patient was a young officer in the Signals Corps of the Sri Lanka Army. He had been hit on his chest by a bullet in the early hours of the morning at an army camp situated at Punani in the outskirts of the Polonnaruwa district. In view of the critical nature of the injury, he was rushed to the base hospital in Polonnaruwa in an army jeep. There had been no one to administer first aid. The incident had occurred at least 45 kilometers from Polonnaruwa, and the drive to the hospital was a damaged, bumpy road blown up in some places by landmines. Furthermore, the road had not been cleared of landmines that morning. On examination, the injured officer was found to be extremely pale and in a state of shock. His pulse could not be felt and the blood pressure was not recordable. He was gasping for breath and was in imminent danger of losing his life. In the surgeon's mind, there was no doubt that he was bleeding inside the chest cavity due to damage to his lung caused by the bullet. There was no time for x-rays. He was rushed to the operating theatre, resuscitating with saline and blood, given oxygen, and the surgeon inserted a tube to his right chest cavity to drain the blood that had collected following the gunshot. 3 liters of blood drained out rapidly and the bleeding continued. The blood that was transfused was leaking out from the damaged lung. The only option available was to open his chest, identify and tie the bleeding vessels and remove the damaged part of the lung. This procedure, called thoracotomy, is usually done by a chest surgeon. However, there was none at this hospital, and in the days gone by, chest surgeons were available only in Colombo, 240 kilometers away. No doubt, transfer to Colombo, even by air, would have been fatal. Gamini, the only general surgeon at the hospital, took a quick and a bold decision and opened his chest, the only option that was available to save the life of the young officer. As the chest cavity was opened, blood and blood clots gushed out of the chest. The blood remaining in the chest cavity had to be sucked out to identify the site of bleeding. The bleeding vessel was identified and tied, and the damaged part of the right lung was removed. The young officer's life was saved, and he continued to serve the army for a further period of 33 years before retirement in October 2019 as a Major General. It was a surprise meeting of the patient and his surgeon one morning at the Army Hospital 34 years later in 2020. This is what the officer said to the surgeon. "Sir, you saved my life. Can you remember me?" The surgeon, rather elated, he looked at him and remembered that he was Dharmasiri, the young army officer from the Signals Corps whom he operated at the primitive hospital in Polonnaruwa in 1986. Gamini wished him good luck and good health in retirement and parted, but the two are in touch by phone regularly ever since.